Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I'm an AMAZE Youth Ambassador. Today I'm going to be talking about mental health from the youth perspective. So the first topic I want to talk about is teachers or people of higher status not validating emotions or feelings. Sometimes I feel like when you're talking to an adult, they have like this idea that they're better than the youth. And when I talk to adults, sometimes it feels like they're looking down on me, and they talk in sometimes condescending tones. And it's like really like unmotivating, and it hurts you personally, and it honestly makes them look like rude. And I feel like when teachers do that, or like people of that higher status do that, you then share those emotions and you like portray it back, kind of in the sense that you're like, oh, and you have like attitude with them, and they're like, oh, who are you to be having attitude with me? And it's kind of like what adults don't realize, that sometimes they give off negative emotions, and when teens reciprocate those negative emotions, we're the only ones to get like reprimanded for it, or for lack of better words, like disciplined for it. And I feel like it has to be equal on both sides. Like if you're gonna convey a certain energy to me, then I'm gonna convey a certain energy to you. My school's pledge says failure is not an option. And I feel like putting that out there and telling kids you can't fail, you must only succeed, I feel like that sets the precedent for people to be biased and get mad at people when they fail. And I feel like failure is so important to move forward. And just pushing it out the picture, like you're already starting off on a bad foot.
Wow. This coronavirus has upended our normal lives. Many people are staying home from work, and lots of schools have closed. Being stuck in the house for weeks can feel very lonely. If you feel isolated, try connecting with family or friends online. You can hold a book club, share videos, play a game together, or just chat. This can also be a great time to reconnect with the people living right in your own house. If your feelings of isolation and loneliness continue, you should talk to a trusted adult about it. And don't worry, it may take a while, but life will go back to normal eventually.
Hey, my name is Malik, and I'm 10 years old, and today I'm going to be talking to you about depression. First of all, what is depression? People who might be depressed might feel like they're worthless, lonely, afraid, inferior, or might have mood swings. Depression usually lasts longer than sadness, so that's another way of knowing that you might have depression. Depression is also a sickness. It's not something that happens to everybody. It's like asthma or cancer, but it mostly focuses on your mood. Some causes of depression, social media usually ties into depression, especially now when social media is globally and it's 24/7. Everybody knows what somebody else is doing, and that can really tie into for somebody to envy somebody else. It might make them feel like they're doing something wrong in their life, or their life is wrong. What do I do when I feel sad? I listen to lo-fi hop Will Smith. It's pretty cool, keeps the vibe. And I talk to myself. I don't know, it's weird. Yes, I know, but still. I wash my face because it makes me feel refreshed. I go to my little brother because she's always doing something at least happy, funny, or literally just doing something. And I go outside because the fresh air always gives me more. It makes me feel anew, like I'm born, or something like that.
During puberty, sometimes feeling sad, irritable, hopeless, or even worthless, or having difficulty concentrating is normal. Usually, these feelings will come and go. But if you notice that these feelings continue for longer than a week or two, you may be depressed. Sometimes when a person is depressed, they think about hurting themselves or even committing suicide. If you ever have any of these feelings or thoughts, it's important to know that people care about you. Talk to a parent or other trusted adult about how you're feeling. They can find you the help you need to feel better. Similarly, many things can make a person feel nervous or worried, like a fight with a friend, going into a new situation, or taking a test. This type of worry is normal. But if you're having a hard time focusing on anything but your worry, you may have an anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorders are conditions that cause people to feel an excessive amount of anxiety, fear, nervousness, or constant worry, and can make a person feel overwhelmed by every little thing. This can affect the person's outlook, sleep, appetite, concentration, and confidence. People with anxiety disorders might avoid talking about their worries, thinking that others might not understand. But anxiety disorders are fairly common, so there is nothing to feel embarrassed or ashamed about. Talk to a parent or other trusted adult. They can help you get the care you need to feel like yourself again.
I grew up with my Mexican mother, so I'm first generation as well. So my mom's a Mexican immigrant, and mental health was never discussed in our household. It was just something that you either were happy or content, and that's it. There wasn't sad, there wasn't anything. So mental health growing up, I viewed it as just like a myth, because that's what it was to me. It was a myth. It was something that, people didn't experience until I experienced it, and I was like, no, this is real. And I know my mother feels it too. Like, it's human emotion. And I think that's what mental health is to me. It's like, it's just human emotion that, everyone has at one point in their life, especially in a society where we run off like these systems that exploit our happiness, exploit our emotions. White mental health activists want like immediate change, and what's missing is this understanding, this compassion of Black and brown communities, because most Black and brown communities were raised on the mentality that you either are going to like suck it up or you're on your own type of thing. So either way, like you're put into two different situations. It's from like people who think they're helping, and then also another group of people that think they're helping as well, but in reality it just causes a lot of conflict. And what's missing there is like just compassion for Black and brown communities, because it's not going to be an immediate change. It's like generational trauma that, has to be healed and has to be broken first and then healed. And healing isn't like linear. Healing happens in many different ways, or sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it has to be rekindled, anything. And I think that just having compassion for Black and brown communities that is not had within the communities and outside of the communities. And that's when the mental health conversation becomes complicated, because there's often exclusion just from both sides. So I was like basically raised by my teachers, and being around such a majority powerful women taught me that. And I see these powerful women cry at times. So when I see these women cry, I'd be like, it's okay for me to cry. Like, because at home it wasn't okay to cry, and like at school I see my own, like the women that I looked up to like the most, and I was like, why are they crying? And then like they'd just cry, and then they'd explain themselves, and I'll be like, oh, okay. So from like experiencing other people like deal with their own emotions in a way that I was never taught to deal with my emotions, triggered something in me where I was like, I too have these emotions, but like why aren't I showing them? And it got to a point where like it just like it was devastating for me to even like picture myself crying or like anything, because I was like, that I associated with weakness, and that's something that is commonly done, of course. But what like did it for me was I cried, and like I cried, and to this day I cry, and it's just amazing. I think it's amazing how the human body can cry, and I just cried, and that was it. Like I let myself cry, and I was like, I too have emotions that aren't just happy and like okay.
During puberty, a person goes through many physical and emotional changes. Many of these changes are the result of new chemicals in your body called hormones. Hormones are special chemicals your body starts to produce more of during puberty, and they tell your body to grow and change in a lot of ways. Hormones can give you mood swings, sometimes without reason. You may feel very happy, and then suddenly you may feel angry or sad. Don't worry about it. Be gentle with yourself. It's normal to feel this way during puberty. If you're feeling very sad or very tired, overly anxious, overwhelmed, hopeless, guilty, or helpless for a long time, maybe a week or two, it may be signs that you're depressed. Being depressed is nothing to be embarrassed about. Depression can affect anyone at any time, no matter who you are, what you look like, what your gender is, or where you live. Even the rich, famous, or successful can go through depression. If you think you might be depressed, the best thing you can do is talk to someone who can help you. This might be a parent, a teacher, a guidance counselor, a coach, a doctor or nurse, or a member of your faith community. Just remember, you are not alone.
My name is Amaka. I am an AMAZE Youth Ambassador. If I were to say one thing that I want educators and teachers and parents to maybe think about when giving mental health advice and stuff, I'd say that I want them to maybe not try and assume they know what the student's thinking. Like, I've had experiences with this. They'll just assume they know exactly how I feel and how I would react to this and how I should react. And I kind of feel uncomfortable in those sort of situations because I'd like to control, I suppose, my own reactions. I'd like to get a little bit more support, not someone telling me how I should feel or, what I should feel specifically and what I should do to act upon that.
Have you ever noticed a friend wearing long sleeves on a really hot day? Have you often noticed a lot of small scratches or cuts on their skin that they say were caused by a cat or make some other kind of strange excuse? Those could be signs that they are inflicting harm on their own body. People who self-harm are trying to find some relief from or take control of very intense feelings of rage, rejection, sorrow, loneliness, or emptiness by making shallow scratches, cuts, or burns. When the main issue the person is dealing with is not treated, the feelings of relief from cutting often lessen over time. The person then might find that they want to self-injure more often and more severely to try and get those same feelings again. Getting help can be very difficult for people who self-harm. The feeling of relief from cutting is often followed by feelings of intense guilt and shame. However, it's important to find other, more effective ways to cope with the underlying feelings. Parents, friends, school counselors, social workers, and other trusted adults are all people to whom people who harm themselves can turn to for help, so they do not have to feel so alone. If your friend or someone you care about shares that they are self-harming themselves, please don't promise to keep this a secret, as your friend needs help from a trusted adult or counselor.
Hello guys, so I am an AMAZE Youth Ambassador and I struggle with mental health because mental health, it's a big subject for people our age. There is so many things going on in the world and we are in such a hard time right now. One of those things is disability. If you are a person with a disability or if you are a person without a disability, you have probably struggled or seen someone struggling. And there are great ways to be allies to those people. First of all, we just need to be able to love each other and talk to each other and be open with each other about what does and doesn't work for us. That doesn't just apply to disability. It helps people like me, but it helps everyone. So if you know someone who is a minority, which would be someone who is not in the majority of people, someone who goes through a lot of struggles because people do not have the right mindset, then you are doing a great job helping them with their mental health already. If you just try to work with them, accommodate them, and we have these discussions because they are so important. I have gone through a lot in my life, and being accommodated and having just good people around me has helped so much. And you can help your peers, and your peers can help you. And if your peers aren't willing to help you, that's not worth it. You deserve to feel accommodated, you deserve to feel good, and you deserve to work through these things. I've had good people in my life, and you want to surround yourself with good people. You want to surround yourself with people who support you as a person